Okay, let's dig into this. We're looking at a story today that kind of starts simply enough, right? Scrolling Instagram. But it quickly spirals into something much more complex. We're talking censorship, energy, and this historical figure whose work, well, the source material claims it was literally destroyed. The spark was this post about a woman, Janelle, and her Etsy shop, The Organized Earth. Apparently, some of her items got pulled down. Now, censorship online, maybe not shocking these days, but the item being censored. Something called Orgonite. That definitely caught my eye. So what is Orgonite, and why on earth would it get censored? That's our mission for this deep dive, to unpack this whole thing. From the Etsy details to the history, the big claims about Orgonite and why someone might want to suppress it. We'll look at the materials, the ideas, all based on the sources we reviewed.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because this really becomes a look at how, information, belief systems, even actual physical materials can become these real points of conflict. We'll get into what Orgonite is claimed to be and then connect that to Wilhelm Reich, the guy apparently behind it all. Our aim is to help you understand what the source material is actually presenting and maybe why it matters, just encouraging some critical thinking as we go through it.
Right. So the trigger, as the source tells it, was this specific incident. Janelle, her Etsy shop, The Organized Earth.
Oh.
She was selling things, including Orgonite, apparently, and then, boom, this shop gets, well, effectively shut down, or at least those items removed.
Exactly. And Etsy gave a reason, a very specific one. They said the items were removed in accordance with a notice we received from the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, as well as Etsy's prohibited items policy. So a double reason, really.
A notice from the NRC. That
What?
sounds serious.
It does. And the core of the NRC's reasoning, quoted in the source, was that organ contained nuclear or radioactive material, as well as items presented with qualities associated with radioactive material. Etsy also mentioned their own policy against items that present an unreasonable risk of harm.
Okay, radioactive. That's a heavy claim. But the source we looked at paints a totally different picture of Orgonite. According to the speaker in our source, Orgonite is, well, it's a physical thing, yeah, but used for energetic protection, for life force energy enhancement. It even says it can help keep away the bad jugu, like negative vibes, I guess.
And the speaker seems quite familiar with it personally. It says they have a lot of it. It's scattered around my house. They travel with it all the time.
So how do they square that with the radioactivity claim?
They tackle it head on. The speaker explicitly says Orgonite is not radioactive at all, flat out. They say it's a total different form of energy. And they even joke, kind of, that if it were radioactive, they and others using it would have 3 eyes or cancer by now.
Huh. Okay, so a very clear dismissal of the official reason.
Absolutely. The source basically presents it as, this absurd claim versus their experienced reality. It really sets up this core conflict.
So to really get the source's full argument here about Orgonite and why it might be suppressed, we have to go back in time, right?
Exactly. We need to talk about Wilhelm Reich. The source identifies him as the person who developed the idea and the science behind Orgonite.
And who is Reich?
Well, he started out as a psychologist, a psychoanalyst. He was actually an understudy of Freud initially, but as the source puts it, he forged his own path. There were key differences in their work, apparently.
What kind of differences?
Reich got really focused on the mind's connection to sexual energy. He looked at masculine and feminine character structures through that lens. But crucially, he also developed this idea of a fundamental life force energy.
Life force energy, okay.
Yeah. And he called it orgon. The name apparently comes from his study of sexual energy orgasm, though the source notes is similar to concepts like prana in other traditions. And he wasn't just thinking about it, he actually created materials, orgon, and these things called organ accumulators.
Accumulators, like boxes.
Essentially, yeah. Boxes people could sit inside. And the claim, the really big claim detailed in the source, was that these boxes could accumulate and enhance this life force energy.
Yeah.
And that this energy could literally heal them of various diseases, not just heal the body, but also enhance their mind, their whole energetic structure of being. Big stuff.
Wow, okay, healing boxes. You can see how that might attract some attention. Or controversy.
Precisely. And that leads directly to the next part of the source's narrative. The claim of major pushback. According to the source, the deep state, as they put it, really didn't like Reich or his work.
A deep state.
Okay.
Right. What did they allegedly do?
Well, this is where it gets pretty dramatic. The source claims they found a way to imprison him. They put him in a psych ward, and according to the speaker, that's where he died.
Imprisoned and died in a psych ward.
Yeah. But the source says it didn't stop there. This is crucial. They allege a systematic destruction of his actual work. They claim authorities found a way to commandeer a lot of his stuff, take his stuff, and they literally burned his books.
Burned his books, who?
The FDA, the source states explicitly, the Food and Drug Administration burned Wilhelm Reich's books.
The FDA burning books. That's quite an image.
It is, and the source interprets this very directly. They see it as proof. Proof that what he was studying were some secrets that the deep state didn't want out there. And Orgonite, the idea of orgon, was one of those secrets. That's the connection they make.
Okay, so let's connect the dots then, based on the source's view. How does Reich's alleged fate and the burning of his books link to Janelle's Orgonite being removed from Etsy today?
The source draws a straight line. Their central argument is simple and stark. Orgonite is being censored now.
Because it works.
That's exactly what they say, because it works. It's framed as a continuation of that historical suppression they described with Reich.
And does the source broaden this out? Is it just about Orgonite?
They definitely frame it more broadly. They argue this isn't just about one product. It's an attempt to censor science, true science, not the fake science that they try to give us. They position it as a fight over knowledge.
So specifically targeting secrets, esoteric knowledge they don't want coming to the masses.
Precisely. And they're quite clear that this isn't seen as a left versus right political thing. They say it's about censoring everything that the control systems, the powers that shouldn't be on this planet don't want out there. So, yeah, it's quite a framework they build, isn't it? Linking a modern Etsy issue all the way back to Reich and this idea of hidden knowledge.
It really is.
So yeah, wrapping up, that's the core tension we've unpacked in this deep dive, based on the source material. You've got the official Etsy and RC explanation on one side, regulatory issues, potential radioactivity, unreasonable risk, concerns about safety. And on the other side, this completely different narrative, historical suppression, censorship of true science, esoteric knowledge being hidden, all stemming back to Wilhelm Reich and the claim his books were burned.
It's quite the contrast.
It really is. And this deep dive, for me, it really highlights how certain ideas, certain materials even, can become these real flashpoints, these centers of conflict around information, belief, and different ways of understanding energy or even healing. It's a striking case study.
So for you listening, what does this all mean? It's really about seeing how many layers a story can have, right? How there can be such wildly different interpretations of the same event, especially when you get into areas like energetic protection or life force, things that aren't easily measured by conventional science. It's kind of amazing how, according to this source anyway, a little shop on Etsy connects to this huge historical drama of alleged suppression.
Yeah.
So maybe here's something to chew on. We live in this world overflowing with information, right? And so many competing claims about what's true science. What's effective, what's real, how do you critically evaluate all that? How do you decide what to trust? Especially when it involves concepts or claims that are way outside our everyday experience or scientific understanding.
That's the big question, isn't it?